Welcome back to Mega Man X Command Mission. Last time, we fought Scarface, and he retreated back to his home base. And then we proceeded to not follow him, because we had to fight a duck first. But now, with that out of the way, it's time. As always, we speak to Nana. And we call the deployment center first. And then I don't even bother keeping that in, because it was of so little consequence. I didn't get anything particularly important, so yeah, that was just a minor aside. But now, we're beginning our next mission. And so with one last little speech from Nana, we're heading off to Grave Ruins Base. What a name. Yeah, it won't be long now. All that we need to do is just a final dungeon, and we're golden. So let's get our butts into this teleporter. And as always, we'll briefly just walk in, and then get the title card. Still feels like that's just the wrong order of things, you know? Anyway, it's Chapter 9. When Giants Duel. And what do you mean Scarface gets top billing here? He's not the guy we're here to fight. I mean, we're probably going to. But he's not the main dude. Anyway though, oh, we're immediately getting into one of the gimmicks of this dungeon. I wonder what this does. So, right, Grave Ruins is... maybe... it might be my least favorite area in the game. Though not out of necessarily being boring. There have been areas that have felt a bit sparse, and that's why I haven't liked them. This is... Grave Ruins has a lot of gimmicks, which is good in theory. You know, it's a very active final dungeon, it has you doing things. However, here's the gimmick. We touch this laser, we get into a fight. Now, I should mention, you're pretty much only going to be fighting Preons for a vast majority of this dungeon, save for the boss. So it might do you good to remember to equip Axel with the gun specifically made to kill Preons. Obviously that doesn't matter right this very second, but I do believe I forgot to equip that onto him, which does make it hard to make use of it. Anyway, though, yeah, this is a fairly easy battle right here. These are the guys who suck. And honestly, if I had Axel here, I could have just wiped him out turn 1. Yeah, this is amateur shit. This is all the way back at the beginning of the game kind of stuff. So this is an annoying way to introduce the gimmick. So Mario can figure out the security system, being a thief and all. However, the game has to show us that these beams reset by forcing you to let it reset. No, that wasn't a weird cut. Yes, the game just immediately shoves you into another fight. This one's at least an actual challenge, or kind of an actual challenge. I could conceivably see this being difficult if... actually, no, these are the beginning of the game guys, aren't they? Yeah, these are still early game. At the very least, it's not base Preons. So, like... they could do something if maybe you didn't react to them whatsoever. Like, Freeze is not fun to deal with. I know we haven't seen it, but trust me, it is. So they could do that. In all fairness, these battles do eventually become, like, slightly more of an actual thing. For the time being, though, yeah, we just get the easy guys. And you know what the funny thing about this whole ordeal is? The laser doesn't even reset that quickly normally. It was just like that for the sake of a tutorial. Of all the things to have you learn by doing, I don't know why this is it. I just... It's a bit confounding, and definitely not the best way to enter the final battle against the rebellion. You know, we're here, we followed Scarface, we want to take on Epsilon, and we just have this kind of annoying gimmick. Of course, this instance isn't too bad, and I will be cutting out most of this in the future, but I figured I'd show some of the enemy formations at least. But yes, you have to deactivate every laser in the room, and then the doors will unlock. So yeah, that's not a real door, that's just there for set dressing. And yeah, like I said, we're just gonna be skipping these. So yeah, we'll deactivate this, and then double back, cause here's an item. Now, the good news is, they don't necessarily immediately bring the lasers back, so if you're quick, you can get all the items here without having to redo the whole laser bits. At least for this area. Alright, so now we gotta redo this one. And this one. And now it can proceed. So, not too much to talk about in terms of this gimmick. It's pretty straightforward, just kind of annoying. So I'd actually like to bring up the fact that there are two versions of this game. They're more or less the same in terms of, you know, actual content for the most part. I'm not getting a completely different experience than somebody who got the other version of the game, which is the GameCube version. I don't remember exactly why I settled on this version over GameCube. I think it was mainly just I didn't really feel like dealing with remembering how I map out controls on a more regular controller as opposed to the GameCube one. That might have been the big thing, though, admittedly, I do think the GameCube version kinda looks better. Like, if you look at videos on YouTube, even the ones that are kinda ancient, if they're played on the GameCube, there's just something about, like, the frame rate and the actual model quality that I just really like, and I think it works for this game. I don't think this version looks terrible in comparison, but yeah, I was recently watching some boss videos for a certain reason. And I was like, dang, this looks really good. Like, that's actually kind of striking. But I bring up the GameCube version because I also want to mention that there is one tiny feature in the GameCube version that you might be able to access that is absolutely not available in this version. Oh god damn it, it's this room. Okay, so real quick break from talking about that. This is the annoying room. There are, I believe, 3 lasers in here. When you deactivate all of them, you have enough time to access one of these rooms. There are a bunch of them that we have to get to if we want all the items. If you don't care about that, you can just skip to the central door and you're good. But that's not me. Even if I'm not going for 100%, I'm still going to pick up what I can see, and unfortunately, I can see these. Anyway though, like I was saying, the GameCube actually had a Game Link functionality. If you're not familiar, the GameCube could link up with the Game Boy Advance and do certain things depending on the game. I think most people will remember that as a function for the Wind Waker. Originally, you could link up with the Game Boy Advance and have Tingle do his dark deeds to kill your enemies for you, or whatever. You know, just help you out in general. You could have somebody just on the Game Boy Advance plugging away at that. And anyway, yeah, immediately the laser's red, so I'm skipping all that because it's boring. Anyway. But yeah, this game does actually have Game Link functions. It's not that useful. Speaking of the figure token that I just picked up, it is basically just a tracker specifically, though, for those. It's called the Treasure Radar, and yeah, you basically just turn your Game Boy Advance into a radar. It would have been neat if that just, like, functioned as a map in general. From my understanding, though, it really is just for the treasure tokens and nothing else. You know, it would have been kind of nice if it was just an all-around map that you could maybe play with a little bit, just so you didn't have to bring out the map in full anytime you wanted that. I think that would have been neat, but to be fair, that's a functionality that not everybody has access to, so I can understand why maybe they didn't want to devote that much time to it. I mean, they put in a decent amount of time for the Tingle thing in Wind Waker, and, you know, I don't know how many people have touched that. In general, I cannot scry, and I definitely can't scry into the past. It's very difficult, and if I could do such things, I think I would have better uses for it than figuring out how many people have used the Game Link cable for Mega Man X Command mission. I also was not mysteriously in the background of anybody's photos. If you see something like that, that's just a Slender Man. Anyway, here are the gravity guys. I feel like Frieza's slightly more of a worse status effect to deal with, but Gravity Shot, of course, will just have your HP, so it's not like it's good. It's not like you can just breeze through that, but if there was a high-level enemy that could do freeze, maybe in conjuncture with, like, anything else other than just these Preons, that could be pretty dangerous. Freeze is just, you don't get to do anything until somebody hits you, or you thaw them out. That's it. Anyway, though, yeah, so that's just about it for the Game Boy Advance functionality. I tried looking up to see if there was anything else to it, but yeah, no, it seems to just be help for finding the figure tokens. Again, it's neat, it's just nothing to write home about. But yeah, I did not really mention that earlier on in the LP, and I figured I might as well bring it up here, you know? Getting towards the end, there's some missing info. Now you know. I know you were probably wondering, a burning question in your heart. Does the GameCube version have any compatibility with the Game Boy Advance, no matter how small? And don't you worry, it does. Okay, so I think we're at the next gimmick, and I hate this one. Right, this is the one I don't like. We're saving first because, of course, I did. I don't want to lose that progress, that area was annoying. Okay, yeah, so here's the game giving you puppy dog eyes and going, hey, you like items, right? Here's a bunch of build items. You like these, right? And I do, don't get me wrong. But I know you're only giving me these because you're about to spring something on me that I don't like. So welcome to the revolver shaft area. Right, so the laser gimmick was annoying. This, I think, is just bad. I can kind of see what they were going for with lasers, but here we are in the revolver room. If you're wondering what this is, it's exactly what it sounds like. We've got two panels, left and right. Which one do we start with? I believe left. Yeah, left. Alright, so hit this device, and we'll turn. 1, 2, 3 ticks counterclockwise. And now we can't use those panels again until we've checked out what's behind door number 1. Z-Saber Triple Plus. Do not turn those pluses on their side. Alright. And now on the right side. Room turns clockwise once. Twice. So yeah, it's one of these. We have to puzzle out where the end is by just flipping the room back and forth over and over again. Exciting. Oh, and we've got this guy. Right, so we've got these fancy Preons right here, and I'm killing them immediately. So yeah, those are basically just Epsilon's Royal Guards. You might have noticed them in the Eternal Forest. They were some of the enemies towards the end on the hardest path. Not only do they have some pretty decent stats, they do also have DOA attacks. So yes, they can just kill you if they feel like it.
Direct hit. Let's go, everybody.
Yep, okay, so just... please remove this guy from play. I'm not as worried about the Ferrum Preons. They're tough, but they're nothing to really write home about. And again, I can't emphasize this enough, they don't have DOA attacks. That's the main thing that makes the Epsilon Guards difficult. Obviously, of course, there's a pretty good chance you do have 3 DOA protections, and you might want to throw those on. We are getting to the point where a few more things will have just instant kill attacks. Just absolutely not putting up with your shit right now. Get out of here.
Need more power.
I mean, maybe don't taunt them. But yeah, Epsilon's guards were definitely a lot scarier when I was doing Eternal Forest. I mean, I did have DOA protection, but... you're still kind of worried about those things in general, you know? Alright, so let's move the room counterclockwise again. So yeah, if I remember correctly, I did attempt to alternate between these. I should get all of the items eventually. I forget if I accidentally deviate from that, or if it's just the wrong path, but I think I get spat out into the exit and have to go back in for the other items. Anyway, yeah, here's another one of these fuckers. I don't like you. Stop being scary. That's not the only thing they do or anything, but... I don't believe I equipped DOA protection. Probably mostly out of stubbornness. Or laziness. I don't know which. It could be both. Alright, so yeah. These are the Bodos type Preons, and they're really annoying. They have bit shift, so they summon options to help attack you. But mostly they just really like guarding. Honestly, they're not even that threatening. The options can be tricky because, of course, they're floating. But as you might have been able to tell from the fact that only one of Marino's attacks landing, taking that thing out, its HP sucks, or LE. I'm pretty sure I said at one point I'm probably going to keep calling it HP, and lo and behold, I still call it HP. Alright, so yeah, let's just move you, and then have Cinnamon go Nyog glomps you until you explode. I know I already mentioned it, but... while Cinnamon does get some higher attack power on other weapons, which could be useful against bosses since they tend to resist status effects, it is both generally pretty useful to have just a bunch of debuffs from one attack. And it is just so funny to see that happen. Also, yeah, I'm pretty sure I did left and left in a row. And oh god, and I immediately realized, wait a minute, fuck, I did the wrong thing. Oh, are we gonna see your gimmick? Because you might have the easiest gimmick to dodge in the entire game.
Here you go.
As always, we're aiming for top guy first. We do not need your kind around here. I don't care how much you like the Dead or Alive series, I don't care. I really don't. Get out of here with that, I'm not interested. Alright, so come on. Show me what you do, come on, do the thing. Say the line, Bart. Oh, I intercepted your turn away. Okay, Preon S-Face is taunting you. So, as you might be able to guess,
Direct hit.
damage charge means he does damage if you attack him. But, like, he doesn't draw your aggro or anything. So you don't actually have to, like, do anything to him. And check this out, discharge. 0, because I didn't hit him.
Here you go.
Scarface, your Preons suck. Yeah, this guy was also in the Eternal Forest, and even back then when my stats were worse, seeing that guy was a reprieve. Like, that just meant I could fight all of the other guys around him, and if he taunted me, that just meant I wasn't going to be getting attacked by him the next turn. At least not for any particular damage. The one thing that does is it shuts down, like, party-wide attacks, so, you know, you can't use X-Buster, you can't use any of Axel's cool transformations outside of Wild Django, but that's pretty much it. And I mean, I guess I can kind of see how that would be a little difficult, you know? Because I do rely on AoEs a lot in this game. It's good to get damage against everybody. And especially now that X has the Buster that increases in damage, the more weapon energy he has. A full charge from the X-Buster is just devastating. Also, yeah, I definitely couldn't miss the tank part, so I had to come back. So let's go through this again. You know, I wasn't a fan of that big clock in that one dungeon in Final Fantasy VII. Never liked that thing. This is a gimmick similar to that, but... Actually, this might be less annoying than that one, just because I'm thinking about how messing up really just wastes your time. And I don't think the game actually gave you hints as to, like, where you needed to go. This game doesn't give you hints as to where you need to go, and unless you map this whole thing out, you really don't know where you are. I did not map it. I don't really do visualizing like that. Got a Fantasia, I mention that a bunch, but I'd imagine, you know, being able to kind of picture this place in your mind would at least help you keep a little bit of track. Though then again, the area itself looks so monotonous that I don't really know if there's anything to hold on to in one's brain. Doesn't matter to me either way, but... Oh, we actually have a fight that I'm going to keep in. Is it 3 Epsilons? No, it's Epsilon and a medic. As always, killing you first. But yeah, it's just a very indistinct rotating room, so... It's really hard to keep your position, or like, keep in mind the position of everything around you, but I guess in fairness that room doesn't knock you into a pit and force you to try again. You know, potentially getting you into some random battles. No, it's just a matter of flipping the room around until you get the result you want. And that's pretty much it. Alright, well that was highly unimpressive. Gotta say though, The OC squad of this game is doing a very good job. Also, yes, we are out of that section, thank goodness. Is this another item room? Are you going to bribe me again? Actually, no, I don't think. No, it only bribed me before the rotating room. Afterwards, it's just like, yeah, no, here's this room. You came to the wrong neighborhood, motherfuckers. Oh, right, I did actually equip Force Metal here. Block all should work, because that's just anti-status effect in general. But these two definitely need DOA protection. Because we're about to fight 3 of these guys, and they're oh so kindly waiting for me to put these in before jumping me. You came to the wrong neighborhood, but you do have to take a few more steps in. We're legally allowed to beat you up in this neighborhood, but you actually weren't technically in our neighborhood yet. Thank you for stepping in, though. Very nice of you. We will now proceed to beat you to death. Alright, well, maybe we'll actually be able to see what they can do now that there's 3 of them and I can't avoid them doing anything whatsoever. I can take out one, but the rest will actually move. Unless I play it smart and I get lucky, and Massimo's Interceptor works and delays B2's turn. The question is, will I even remember to pay attention to that? Okay, I'm doing this instead. I mean, in fairness, this is going to turn him into a pair of boots. A smoldering pair of boots. Alright, yeah, we definitely want criticals to be max. Multi-hit is very useful for certain, but you can be a little lax on that one. Status effects you don't need to bother with, quite frankly. Honestly, every once in a while I do try status effects again. Debuffs like that can work, but in general, I've not seen any use for them. They rarely work, and even when they do, it's usually just stuff like poison. Which is a little helpful, but I'd like other things to be good too, you know? Massimo's got a whole bar dedicated to status effects. Axel has Dr. Psyche. But, like, Dr. Psyche just isn't useful. Because he hits, you know, the whole party for a bunch of status effects. But, like, they never really proc, so you've wasted your turn. Ugh, it's just... Honestly, I waver a little bit on whether or not I want this game remade. I love it in its current state, and I don't really want it to not be like this necessarily, but there are definitely things I'd want to fix about it. Definitely things I'd want to add, a little bit of quality of life stuff, character interactions, actual, you know, plot arcs that last more than just the chapter a character's introduced in. But, you know, I'd be fine with the ports. If this game is as it is, that's fine by me. Really, the worst fate for it would be a remaster, you know? Like, what if they just replaced the UI with just that same generic text box that every fucking RPG port has anymore? You know, just the inoffensive square that's kinda translucent. That one. I hate that thing. I would really much rather play games kinda just on their own console and just kinda, you know, deal with the fact that these were made for smaller screens. Will I switch to CRT at some point? You know, just turn on CRT filters for these LPs? Who knows? That has nothing to do with the next episode, though. Next time we fight Epsilon.